Hey, everybody, welcome to the Occupied Home. I'm Bobbie McGrath here in Raleigh, North Carolina, here in the United States.
And I'm Tracey McLeod from Australia's beautiful Gold Coast.
That's right. And tonight, today, we're from all around the world. So it's morning, midday, and evening. So wherever you are in the world, welcome. And today we're so very excited to have a very special guest. And I'm going to read up on her a little bit. So please excuse me, but I love this. She's an award-winning architect and interior design expert specializing in unique themed designs. With over 15 years of experience in India and abroad, she has developed an organic design style that molds itself beautifully to her clients' needs. And that's very important, her clients' needs, right? She says the space should reflect the unique personality of the user. It should enhance your lifestyle and status quotient. So without further ado, I would love to introduce you to MInakshi Mohite of Mohite and Associates. Hey, MInakshi, welcome to the Occupied Home.
Hi, Tracy. Hi, Bobbie. It's great to be with you guys. Good to connect.
Yes, it's good to see you. So let's get into this, Tracy. Go ahead.
We're very excited to see you tonight, Meenakshi. And it's so lovely. We've had a couple of conversations with you before, and we wanted to record tonight to allow everyone to hear your work, the work that you do in architecture and design in India, but also the changing face of India and how that impacts your work as well. So we're really looking forward to learning more about you. And tell us a bit about your background.
So, Tracy, I am an architect by qualification, and I have specialized in interior design since past 15 years now. Even my father's an architect, so it's like a family business for us. It runs in the family. And I'm a very creative person, so it helps me spread my creativity in a professional way as well. So that is what makes me get up in the morning every day, that yes, I'm working towards my passion. I'm doing something which I really enjoy doing. So yeah, that is how it goes. And I have, as you know, I've been working since past 15 years now. I've done multiple projects for architecture as well as interior works. So that is it's a process of learning and ever growing also. So I love to explore many variations. So there is no certain styles or concepts which I work in. And I have worked mainly in residential and commercial retail projects. And we have been working in association with other architects as well. So I do my own thing as well as I associate with architects who want help in interior designs also. So that is how I came to know about a couple of architects abroad. So yeah, that has been a good journey so far, and still looking forward for a better future for sure.
And Meenakshi, you said you worked abroad. Whereabouts overseas have you worked?
Yes, so for I have worked with two architects abroad. One was from UK. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to take the names or not, so maybe I am not allowed to do that. But then, yes, I was working with them as an associate designer, but from India. I have not traveled abroad for the work, so I was working as an associate with them. So I used to design and send across the designs to them, and they used to take care of the execution part of it in London. Yes. So
and you have a beautiful city in which to work, of Pune. Tell us a bit about Pune as well, and the design and architectural scene there.
So Pune is, as everyone knows, after Mumbai, Pune is coming up as a semi-metro, you can call it. So there are 4 capitals in India, one is Delhi, Chennai, Calcutta, and Mumbai. So Pune is a sister city of Mumbai, you can call it. So it has a lot of cosmopolitan crowd. So it's not just the local people who stay there, but because we have a lot of colleges, and now there are a lot of IT firms coming up, a lot of foreign investment coming up. So a lot of people from other cities are coming in and staying in Pune as well. So it's quite a developing city now. Also, the infrastructure is coming out quite well. The GDP values have increased in Pune. So everyone wants a better life for themselves. And obviously, the real estate depends on that for sure. And because a lot of people are coming in from outer cities, obviously, the real estate market is booming in Pune because everyone wants to have their houses. And I've come across a lot of clients who are from out of Maharashtra. They have come into Pune just for work and they're settled here. So that's how good the city is. Weather is really fantastic. We have really good climate here. Infrastructure, as I said, is very nice. The public transportation and the amenities are very good. So people do really love it here. And people, especially who love eating and they enjoy the food over here, then they are more than happy to settle down in Pune.
That is wonderful. So you had mentioned that you do both residential and commercial. And so as you're developing this and the city is growing and changing and all of these things are happening, do you find yourself drawn to one side or the other? And then I'm kind of curious too about your dad, what he does as you all work together.
So, not really drawn as such, but yes, there are more opportunities which have been created because of the change in the city. So yes, previously there were quite some residential projects which used to come in, which were usually they were not, as I can say that they were not very varied as such, or there was not much of variation in the project. They were quite similar kind of project which used to come in. So either there were bungalow projects or there were freestanding homes which used to go for interior works or renovation works. But now with a lot of development happening, even a single bedroom hall kitchen kind of a project, those people also want to get interiors done. So there is a lot of variety in the market, yes, for sure. As for commercial project, of course, because the city is developing, there is a lot of commercial projects coming up. So there is more to that as well. But yes, somehow I have always an inclination towards residential because I believe it has a more human touch to the design. And that's what draws me towards those designs.
And then what about your dad? You'd mentioned that your dad, what does he do? What's his area of expertise?
Yes. So my dad is an architect. So he is one of the pioneer architects in Pune. He has his firm practice. He's practicing since last 40 years, almost more than 40 years. And he is mainly into residential and institutional work and temple architecture. So since past 15, 20 years, he's more inclined towards temple architecture and religious buildings. So as you might know, in India, religion is a very big thing and people do invest a lot or spend a lot on places which are spiritually connected, religiously connected. So we have huge campuses related to religious buildings. So if it's a temple which has a religious value to it, we will also have hostels near it for people like deities to come and stay there during a particular time of the year when they have a lot of functions going on in the temple. And then related to that, they need their hygiene buildings where they need to take care of all the washrooms and all those things. Then there are huge dining halls which needs to be created with equally big kitchens for all the prasadams and everything to be created. So it's a huge campus basically. So he is into designing those campuses and the temples as well. So in India, there are a lot of temples which are created out of stone, like real stone, marble, and black stone, and all those things. So he has specialized in that genre. He very much enjoys being in that field.
That's wonderful.
Sorry, Bobbie, go on.
I was just saying, I find that fascinating because, different parts of the world, there's like different things that make them unique. And I believe the whole honoring of the temple and the religion and the whole campus, I find that just fascinating. So I think that's really cool that that's something that's being done and there's that expertise. And I just think that would be wonderful. Someday, Tracey and I will have to come visit and we'll just have to go check these out with you. That'd be wonderful.
The latest project he's working on is like huge. There is this religious place called Pandharpur, which is very, very famous in Maharashtra. And there is a specific month when people from all over Maharashtra and even from outer state of Maharashtra walk towards that destination. So they walk for months and months together just to reach there. They can take a bus or a train or any transportation, but they believe that if you walk there, all your wishes will come true. So they just, yes, and they walk bare feet. They don't wear any footwear while walking.
Oh, wow.
So, yes, and it is believed that, yes.
Go ahead.
So it's believed that if you serve those people on the way, even you will get a little bit of more of blessings because you're serving the people who are walking till the destination. So once they reach, there are like lakhs and lakhs of people on the auspicious day. There are like lakhs and lakhs of people in a small village. It's a very small village. And there are lakhs and lakhs of people coming there. And there's a river. They bathe in that river. And after the ceremony is over, it becomes a huge mess. So because like cleaning everything, and so many people are going to stay there. They're going to cook there. They're going to get freshened up there. So it becomes a big mess. So the government has developed a scheme where they have acquired 272 villages around the town, and they are building, they are getting it all together to create this campus where people can stay. Wow. There will be buses, like a bus terminus, which will have all the buses coming in, because you can't even walk once that the ceremony day is in progress. There is no space to walk also, leave along having any vehicle come in. So they are going to have dedicated space for the buses, dedicated space for people to stay in, and people to have their food. And so they are working on that. So it's like a huge project, and that is on the panel of that project. So he's living his life designing.
So I'm hearing that. Go ahead, Tracey. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, it's a great segue into the history of India, or the history of Indian architecture, because how old are some of the buildings that your dad is working on? And certainly the history of the ceremonies and different things that are very important in Indian culture.
Usually he builds new temples, so he's not into restoration of the temples. Basically, he's into building up new temples for sure. But yes, the history goes back almost like centuries. It's nothing which is modern or even in the last century or so. It goes back centuries, like 2-3 centuries back. They have started this processions and all these things, and now with expanding population. Because of the expanding population, they need to expand the amenities as well. It's that way.
So my question too goes to what Tracey was just asking, is that you have the tradition and the history, the new architecture, the residential homes, are they based on previous, like a specific style, or are they trending more updated styles? What's happening within architecture? Because you're talking about multinational corporations coming in, right? So how's that affecting architecture?
So you very rightly asked that, because India has a very rich culture and a very rich history, people might think that a lot of things are grown out of that. But then now with changing times, yes, the architecture, the interiors, everything is changing. It is nowhere connected to its roots, as we say. It is developed far more further than that, for that matter. And it is more modernized, it is more contemporary. And there are a lot of properties and a lot of things which have been incorporated according to international standards in the building architecture. Yes, there are certain architects who also practice eco-friendly architecture or sustainable architecture and prefer to go with natural materials and locally available materials, but that part is quite less, because obviously the availability of the raw material is quite less, and also the cost of construction is quite high on that. So that is not something which is commonly practiced.
Got it.
Now, MInakshi, I've heard, the last time we spoke, you mentioned that there was, if you have an old house or an older house, you don't necessarily sell it, but you will buy a new one. So tell us how real estate works in India.
So there are a lot of places, like specifically in a more village kind of a place, or even for central cities. Like cities have developed on the outskirts more. There are central cities, and then there are development which are on the outer side of the cities which are happening. So the central cities still have old homes, like they are again 60, 70 years old, or even 100 years old buildings which are still there, which are made out of stone, and there is no concrete or anything as such. There is like live mortar and stone buildings which are still there. And people do like their heritage, and they do want to keep it as is and not really retouch it up or demolish it and build a new building over there until and unless it is creating too much maintenance issues. So yes, they do have ancestral homes, and everyone has an emotional connect with the ancestral home. So they don't really want to sell it off also. So they have those places. Plus, a lot of people move out of their cities for work, for education, or so. So wherever they move out, obviously they buy a real estate over there so that they can stay there and get rid of the rent and all those things. Because in Pune, there are many places where the rents and the EMIs are equal. So people feel that it's okay if you pay a little extra, at least at the end of the day, you will start owning the house rather than just paying rents. If they know they're going to stay there for a longer period of time, it makes sense. So that way they have a modern house with all amenities, but they are still grounded and rooted to their ancestral home. So whenever their kids want to meet their grandparents or they want to visit their village, the house is still there.
Got it.
So works both ways.
That's lovely. And tell us about the future that you see for design in India.
Future is, I feel it, the sky is the limit in India, because of course the labor is getting quite skilled and the availability is quite nice. Plus there are a lot of facilities the government is providing to get the infrastructure up to date and running. So that really helps. And as I said, a lot of people have been working in multinational companies, so they do get to travel abroad a lot now. Previously, that was not the case. Only people who were really rich or people who were like studying abroad, taking scholarships, going abroad, studying there. But they never came back. So they settled there for work or whatever. So, but then now the opportunities have increased because a lot of multinational companies and corporate companies have come up with their offices based in India. So people can still work with international standards. They can still travel internationally, but they don't have to leave India as such. So obviously their tastes have increased because they have got good exposure. They have seen how things work in other countries, what kind of living standard people have in other countries, what kind of facilities, gadgets, for that matter, like home automations, and these things are very much popular now in India. And that is one of the reasons people are more inclined towards getting their houses done. Like I said, like previously also when I used to do interiors, so the kind of people who got interiors done were, as I said, like very rich people or people who had money to spare. But now people will cut down on their day-to-day needs a little bit, but still save up some money that they can get their house done and expand their status of living, or they have a more comfortable life to live for that matter, and have all the amenities at home. And plus with COVID coming in, everyone is home 24/7. They surely want their houses to be really comfortable now.
It's true. It's true. So then what I was wondering too is then how do you guys sell your houses? I mean, how does real estate work?
Yes, as I said, like people don't really sell off their old houses. They feel it's an asset because in India, gold and land are the two assets which are like stable assets. People are still not very much inclined towards mutual funds or shares or stocks and all these. They still feel this is a stable asset and it will have appreciation. So that is the reason people don't really sell off their land. They would rather rent it or lease it, but keep the ownership to themselves. So if at all, if someone is shifting out of India or to some other cities and they have to have the money to shift, that's the only time people really sell things off. So in that case, people do ask, the first preference is to get a contact through someone you know, like your friends or family or someone related to your friends or family. And that is the first preference. People don't outrightly put the property onto the market as such. So first preference is always given to friends and family. If nothing works out of that, then there are a lot of websites where you can put up your property, your photographs and on the details, so that people come and kind of build on the property. And then that is taken, like then the meetings happen, people actually come and see the property, and it's taken care from that. And there are also real estate agents who can help you for a particular fees. They will help you out with getting your property sold. But again, that comes into play when, if I'm staying in Pune and I want to sell a property in Mumbai, I can't be there all the time. So I would rather hire an agent to do that.
Got it.
He is locally available all the time, and he can show around the place, and he can attend to the clients who are interested in the property. So that's
So
the time.
with the influx of folks from other parts of the world coming into the area, is that changing the way real estate is done? Are they starting to utilize real estate agents more so, or are they still pretty much sticking to the more traditional ways that you were just discussing?
Yes, so if a person is coming into another city and looking for a place, they surely are more inclined to go to a real estate agent, obviously because they don't know very much about the place where they're staying. So they can just brief up the agent about their requirements and kind of surroundings they want to live in. And the real estate agent can show them options accordingly, rather than hunting themselves for places which they don't know anything. So in that case scenario, yes, the real estate agents are a more preferred method to do it.
So other than your, talking to your friends about selling your place, and you talked about the websites that are available if you have to reach out to that. Do people utilize photographs of the property very often, or is that pretty much standard use? Is that what they do, or?
No, they do look at photographs for sure. The postings with photographs are always, they do get more hits, and they get more exposure for sure, rather than without the photographs, because obviously it builds trust. So if there is a photograph of the society or for the flat which they are going to rent out, so obviously it builds more trust. They get to see what the society is like. It's not just about the place they are going to live in, but obviously the surroundings also matter. Like if the apartment is really great, but it is surrounded with some industrial area or say a slum area around, so no one will want to go over there. If it doesn't have a proper passageway, like a car can't even reach the property. So that is not something someone will be looking at. So yes, of course, places with photographs are more appreciated, and they're more people who prefer them more. For sure.
Sure.
And I've seen some of your work online, Meenakshi. I've stalked you a little bit, and I was just wondering, does the type of work that you do you think that lends itself to people being able to help people prepare and present their homes for sale?
Right. Of course, obviously having a empty house with no concept to it, or maybe no functionality to it, is a little bit more difficult to sell than if you have furnishings and furniture in place. So here, this is what we call it as a furnished apartment. If there's an empty apartment, a raw apartment, and there's furnished apartments. So of course, a person who is going to shift from somewhere, eventually they have to come here and buy all the furniture to start living in a house. So if they do get a furnished apartment, people will be more readily and happily willing to pay an extra buck for it, for sure. And once you design it, then obviously you take care of the functionality part of it along with the aesthetics as well. So that is the reason it becomes more livable basically, and you don't really have to put your thoughts into it that how I will manage all these things in my house. So that surely helps. So when we are designing something, and if that the same person has to sell that house, obviously they are going to get better compensation for that, and it is going to be a lot easier to sell the places.
And are there suburbs that are in high demand in your city, Meenakshi?
Yes, they are. Reason being, in the suburbs, it is like 50-50, say, because the central areas are in demand where the person doesn't have to travel much for their work. If it's in the suburbs, people usually buy it off for investment and to rent it out, say, or for students, because Pune has a lot of schools and colleges. So there are a lot of students coming in, and nowadays the hostel culture has come down a lot, and people stay in flats more. Like 3-4 friends will get together and get a flat and stay together over there.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, these suburban flats go on for those purposes more now. And also suburban flats are quite cheaper than the flats in the city. So yes, as I said, like for investment, they are really good options because eventually the appreciation is going to be there. Yeah. That is
if I'm selling in the city, are there multiple offers? Are there people looking at the same property who would like to buy that location or in that apartment block or that community?
Yes, if it's a resale apartment, yes, there are multiple offers. So there is a specific amount which has been decided by the owner and which are put up on the websites or has been told to the agent that this is the kind of amount we are looking at. And then depending on that, obviously there are offers which the customer gives that this is what our budget is and this is the offer we can give you. So that is how it goes about.
And Bobbie, the big question is, of course, did you want to ask the big question?
Oh, okay. So we're just kind of wondering if, with all of the changes that are going on in India, the influx of people who are coming in, and then the ability to get into the middle class and upper middle classes, people are moving forward. And property, as you said, property and gold are the two definite assets in the culture. Do you see any place for home staging in the real estate world as India progresses?
Right. So yes, I do see a place for home staging, and I do see that it affecting the market quite highly because everyday presentation always sells. Like even you have a Facebook page and you have your company name, presentation sells, and it does matter. So show business is always on. We do advertise a lot of things, and we do surely showcase a lot of things for our house to sell. And if we have our house presented really nicely, obviously it will be more appealing and it will sell off quite easily. So previously, like might not be very related, but yes, to be on the similar page, kind of, that previously the houses which the builders sold, like the brand new houses which were just built and sold, were purely blank. So there were no false ceiling done. There were even the windows were quite small, and there were not real thought put behind where the bed placement is going to be and where the wardrobe placement is going to be and all those things. But now with the changing market, the builders themselves provide false ceilings. They themselves provide larger windows for a better view and better amenities for that matter. So obviously it is moving towards that stage, but yeah, because home staging is not very popular in India yet, they don't go to the extreme of home staging. They've just started with it, with, as I said, like, which is the false ceilings and little bit of decoration, not to the extent.
Well, I will tell you. Go ahead. Go ahead.
So as I say, if we really introduce it, then and make people understand the value it will add to the project, then it will be surely an interesting thing to look at.
Well,
Let's
I'm
talk
very
further
excited because,
on-
go ahead, Tracey, you go ahead.
I just said, well, let's talk further on that in the future. If you're agreeable to that, MInakshi, because it would be lovely to start a dialogue and be talking home staging in India as well. And Bobbie, what were you going to say?
I was just going to say, it's exciting for me because as I'm listening to you talk, MInakshi, what I'm thinking to myself is, what a wonderful opportunity. I mean, there's so many people there, so many properties there. And if there are a few disruptors out there, folks who are willing to say, you know, when you do the same thing as everybody else, you get the same kind of results. But every once in a while, there's a point in time where somebody sticks their head up out of the crowd and changes things. And so I have seen it happen so many times here in the States. And I've seen where a little town or part of a city where nobody does that. And then one person pops their head up and says, I'm going to try that. And they have totally changed the marketplace. So I'm excited because I look at that. And as we get to know you, I mean, I think of you as one of those people who are going, maybe things could change. So I'm excited. I'm very excited.